zunächst, ich werde auf alles, was ich weiß, kann ich natürlich antworten. Was ich immer nicht weiß, das werde ich sofort sagen und dann kann ich natürlich auch darauf keine Antwort geben. Solange wir den Zustand des Buddha-Erwachens nicht erlangt haben, den man auch den Zustand der Allwissenheit nennt, solange ist in uns als normalen Lebewesen ganz viel, was wir nicht wissen, was wir nicht erkannt haben, was wir uns nicht gewahr werden. Das ist einfach so und deswegen habe ich auch ganz vieles noch, wo ich keine Ahnung von habe und das werde ich dann auch sagen. Warum? Mit dem? Warum hört sie mit dem nichts?
Kann er ins Mikrofon auch reinsprechen? Beide? Können beide reinsprechen ins Mikrofon?
Wir haben versucht, es sind ja ganz viele Fragen gekommen hier und diese Fragen sind in der Menge sicher so, dass wir das in dieser Zeit jetzt gar nicht alles bearbeiten können, aber es gibt so verschiedene Häufchen und der eine Haufen hat was mit der
So we are not going to be able to answer all the questions because we have a lot of questions, but we divided them into different categories, like general questions and questions about practice and personal questions. And so the decision was made that we first begin with the questions about like the view and the general understanding. So another question is about now when one sees now so it is like a delusion that suffering doesn't really exist in reality, but then the functioning of suffering kind of exists because we experience it. But anyways, when you see that suffering doesn't actually exist, when you understand that in reality it doesn't really exist, then wouldn't it have to stop? And so Kempo was saying that so he has a simple answer to that, and that is when you see the nature of mind, suffering actually would stop. But then the reason why it is why it doesn't stop continuously, why it starts again, is because we have to habituate to remaining within the nature of the mind, and to do that we have to practice for a long time. So meditation is not just to meditate upon something, but meditation means to habituate. So we are introduced to the nature of mind by the guru. Then we see the nature of mind. And in that moment, our ordinary thoughts and suffering actually are interrupted, they stop. And then all these feelings of misery and suffering and so on, all of that stops for that moment. But just for that moment. And then again, because we are not habituated to it, again thoughts arise, and again we become obscured, and again we suffer. Suffering then picks up again, and it continues on. So that is why we need to habituate, train the mind for a long period of time in remaining within its natural state. And so basically at the time when the meditation state and the post-meditation state merge, when there is no more difference, when it all becomes the same, then at that point suffering is permanently interrupted, and there is no more suffering basically. So at this point we don't differentiate anymore between now we are in meditation, now we are not meditating. So at this point you have habituated to a point where you're always in this meditative state of resting in the nature of mind. For example, when we think about someone like Mila Rebam, how hard has he worked for it? We say that he has attained enlightenment in one lifetime, in one body, but that was not accomplished very easy. He put himself through a lot of really great hardships in order to achieve that. So, of course, for us to expect that we will achieve that in a very short time, in a simple way, of course, it will not happen that easily.
That's good.
Ja, die Frage dazu ist
okay, so the next question is that can there be any consciousness in the ego, and how is life without the ego? So if you don't have an I or a self, who lives in the body and who feeds the body, who gives the body a house, and who gives him clothes and so on. So Kembo said that. Now when we speak about the self of a person, this is not the one who actually is eating and who is working and so on. It's who is it then? It's you. It's not this self of a person. It's you. And so that is now it seems now for the time being that your body, your aggregates and elements and consciousness are connected. So there is this thought, this concept. You perceive, it seems to you that I am doing this or that, I'm eating food, I'm wearing clothes and so on. This is how it seems. But then because it seems that way, if I tell you now that it's not you who is doing that, then actually at that time you have to look at the ultimate truth. Then you have to find like that one who is actually doing it. So then we have to think about the ultimate truth, the self, which we cannot find. But then so basically on a relative level, there's a difference on the relative and ultimate level. On the relative level, still actually there it is you who is engaging in activities, although ultimately it lacks inherent existence.
Nangsu nga sundirhi jabe kapse
le junde yore tsenga chi yore tamchi yore slap kriwa nangsu netsu ngol ke cha yungdu so mi da mi che mi ro mi rigja mi chu mi to slap kris tan nang netsu ngol sam no konna chung ngku tik so na kang ban thi do war jel so sam no skot da khawa do yapus tan chu da al khade ra so na nge chaga chembo ti na chogris chaga chembo chu da netsu ngol la wa netsu ngol la chu da ra so na tan chaga tamchi chu te chogris netsu ngol la wa nangsu ngol la ngaso sawa tang thungwa chamje la kakpa yo maris penna parten dawa chakpa nalan dan de su gombare ju nge gombare slap gris rwa ni na yang chu tamchi netsu ngol la dal ten pa ongdu dangmil ten pa ongdu parten dawa chakpe nga da yoris ke che yeg maris de netsu ngol ris nangsu ngol la nalan dan de su gombare ju nge gombare slap gris netsu nangsu ni che che jo maris.
And so also we have to be careful that we don't mix up the actual state of things, like how things really are, and then how things appear. So we cannot mix that up. And so how things appear is from that level of how things appear, we speak about there is karma and there is past and future lives and so on. We speak in terms of what is. But then when we talk about it in terms of how things really are, then we speak about there is no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, and so on. Then there's nothing. So from that perspective, actually, of how things really are, if you actually were to come and find a self and present it to me, I would give you a really generous reward, a really great gift, because you just won't find it. So now here we're speaking about the state of how things really are. But when we speak about the state of how things appear, then there again is we drink and we eat and we do things. There's an affirmation. For example, there was the story about past master Chandrakirti, and he said in terms of this is monastery Nalanda, whose monastery is that? So then you would say that's mine. And Nalanda is whose monastery is it? It's mine. So then, however, when you speak about the ultimate perspective, where there is no self, then you cannot say it's mine because there is no I and there is no self. But then when we speak about it from the perspective of how things appear, then again you can say it's mine. So basically we should not mix up those two, how things appear and how things really are.
딱히 맞이나 낭순디 군조 낭순들 딱히 강양 맞이나 나서 요요 초조 덴데 빼미시 냠가고 샤참어 요리스 딱히 찌나 직피 추천 슬라피도 근데 딱히 찌나 추탐지 때는 덴바르 마도 안 배고프 마도 라기 마도 추탐지 가서 돈이 세 티켓에 도리스테 낭수당 네츠 선 티니 포티스 바인지 약보 소지나 하고 그리스.
Würden wir den glorreichen Chandrakirti fragen?
So then next, if we know where to ask Chandrakirti of how things really are. Now, there's this quote where he says that now from a mundane perspective, when we don't investigate how things really are, when we don't really analyze how the reality of things, then we speak about the world in an affirming way. Then everything exists, everything is real, and everything is beautiful and comfortable and so on. But then when we actually look at it, then really analyzed all of that, then we find that it is subject to disintegration, and none of it really exists, and none of it is true. Everything is actually empty of self-nature. So what we need to do really is we need to be able to discern between how things appear and how things really are.
Da çıktı yoru 너희들과 같이 강가디 닭바람정지 다와지 고그로 한테 닭바다와 남다긴 삼고기도 된 남다 인선의 삼는 양 미카시 되는 어장 같은 배 레카 nem바다고 양 소그래 마닥베다 더 빼면서보다 마닥에서는 다디 마닥이 낭라 양 레가 nem바다는 뚝자지 소나 그러 된 속식는 가서 다 닭반 닭낭디 장고기도 속식는 양 미카시 양 다수이나 된 레베 nem바 뚝보지 소기도 다디 들라 가능 제고 가로 말해
나도 초전에 낭시 탐지 닭바람 잡리스 초전에 뭐그게 레독자 통도 다 마다가 나만 통 거봐 더 들어봐 야 더 들어 네 저 통때 닭바람 잡고 따마톱들 다 안사레스 그러면 낭시 탐지 닭바람 잡 샤르산나 디나라 마다 비쳐와도 짠 통거사 말이스 그러봐 추진 직태 솜진 공부 조반 직태 솜진 공부 ane lamik densa leung durba kong tangnang sharung du ane chila chance giri chala chance giri pachok la chance giri tamchi chance gdos kanchi ne tamchi lamik nawa shados de lamik tuare chance gdos mata nawa je yosamares te ngatsu takpe nawa ti yakpo jang ma to du te mata ndamda thong gdos tangnang yang bo jang to samares nge dena tadong 배드 당나 약부 용된 괜찮서 나와 탐지 닭파 샤도스 던드리 공개 치제 용나 차세도 바적제 용나 차세도 차제 용나 차세도 와이 간데 간진 세기요래 콘삼도 탐지 라메크 주와래 탐지 라메크 나와래 내 라마리 땡도스 칠 라마마랑 나숭오 지나 칠 라마마와 바적 라마마와 이나 당낭 종개 ngula tendu yoris 당낭 종개 나서 당낭 약보 만종도 다 당낭 장의 당낭 이 사람들이 마토 다는 당낭 약보 딱딱 랩토요 말이스 세히팅 거 랩 말이스
So then the next question is that on the one hand, we are supposed to practice a pure perception and then see everything that appears and exists as pure. But then on the other hand, and we see all these negative things happening. People engage in really harmful activities, and how can we kind of reconcile these? Basically, while we are supposed to see purity, we see a lot of impurity too. And so regarding that, Kempo said that in that, the way you expressed that, it seems that you have not actually yet developed a pure perception towards everything that appears and exists. So it's kind of a sign that you have not. Because actually, if you really have developed pure perception, a pure view of everything that appears and exists being this infinite field of purity, then you wouldn't actually see anything impure at all any longer. Nothing would appear as impure to you. For example, Jigten Sumgön, when Jigten Sumgön first traveled to his the main seat of his guru, his pure perception was so strong that he prostrated to everything that surrounded this monastery. He prostrated to the dogs, he prostrated to the cows, to the birds, and so on. And why did he do that? It is because all of these appeared as his guru. He thought that this dog is an emanation of the guru, this cow is an emanation of the guru, everything around the guru is an emanation of the guru. And of course, we wouldn't see it that way. We would not think that a cow or a dog is the guru, for example. But he really saw it that way. He saw everything as pure. And so when we see things as impure, then it means that we still have to train in a pure perception, that we have not actually yet seen this whatever appears and exists as pure. That's just a thought in our mind. We think that things are pure, but we haven't actually actualized that.
나도 당당 우측 잡히리스 우측 잡. 당당이 잔파 우측 잡히마도 당당 운은 차토요 말이스라. 당당 운은 차나. 나 왔다 뒤라다 하무랑 이사리스. 자탐치 나크다 사리스라. 근데 전토 탐치 나서 띵인지 차고 사리스. 당가서 당당 운은 말라드다 당당 장파 우측 잡는 당당이 잔 우측 잡도리스. 나야 우측 잡고요스. 당가서 마음발 우측 전부 잡잖아.
Es geht mir persönlich auch nicht anders.
So Kempo says, I feel that I'm actually also like that. I'm also just trying to cultivate a pure perception. So what we are really doing now is really we think that things are pure, but it's just a thought really. We don't really see things as pure. We still need to train in that. If we would really see everything as pure, then we would see all appearance as the deity, as gods and goddesses, and all sounds as mantra, and all thoughts arising, all mental arisings as samadhi. So what we have is just we're attempting, we're trying to cultivate a pure perception, but we just think that things are pure, but we don't see it like that. And actually I'm like that too. I'm also just trying. But it is said that in the future, if we keep trying and making an effort, then an actual pure perception will actually arise.
Natson Rawsana Tambo gets Gelong Domba Hunera. Teneje Susuke Tamu can do like this Sayakbo Koya and Tenepe Tonga and the Soyakbo Koya and Jen Rudu Subsap down Roya and make that do Subsap the Tan, Surchu Changbachi, the Juma Jambachin and Roguris. Tichuma Techina Kale, Tart and the Juma Chimikopa. Ranjik Titan. 제 소소게 제도가 ranji지고는 깔리 잡는 수천 송도가 대용거리스. 그봐. 당보 이제면이 좀마서 미나 뭐사까지 호르서 살살이스. 그봐. 들다 가서 당당 당보 어쩌 야는 로야 스리마토. 당보리 당당 차토가 말이스. 상당 시팅고 랩토가 말이스. 어떤가 냠뇽 또 휴탄종이스.
Then some words of experience from Kempo. He said, I myself in the beginning, when I first took the monks' vows, first the novice monks and then the fully ordained vows, in the beginning, actually, my conduct as a monk was quite fabricated, a little bit fake even. I was very careful on how I'm wearing my robes and how I'm wearing my shirt and how I'm walking, and even careful of how I'm looking. And so everything seemed to be really contrived and really like artificial in a way. But then I kept doing that, and then I habituated to this artificial behavior until actually it became natural. And then finally it was effortless, and just naturally I was able to uphold all those codes of discipline. So actually that's really how it begins. It will not be uncontrived and natural to begin with. In the beginning there will be thoughts and feelings and so on. And so the same is true for the pure perception. We have to first really make an effort to develop it, to bring it up. Right in the outset, it will not just arise naturally. So this is just from my own personal experience.
기능부지 도지시 나랑 믹스에기 디 가쇼레 로게 야구라서 아니 믹스에 쇼고스타 개민도 망체 공송 살송 얘네 단단간조 노브쇼베기 냠렌 책임 망체기 가르삼 그리스라디 다지 식디 베지단 베지 쇼고에서 인yor람 라이쇼바 숏컷 디기 단다 expectation 디 슈크심 쇼도바 텐디자네 직 lama sambu je lama sambu kunne wang top tene sanga gi chi shogar tos newatan lamsang khoran den danang chang gor lepdi kabla chi hopsla chi yegene ma pabi so daga sonang shi shagdu wala and did the expectation we was a shukshin bu bi gönjik chayore sanga nyamlen che ndi kabla ta tosane shin da mo bu shur de ta kirim zogrim ke chama bu yong gor de yena yang arang zo tanda le tangbo we nyamlen che ndi kabla sanga gi tene chawa di thepatan tamsik ruwa ten di chane zo di meba lamje 디 제국화디 계신 분인사래 대인들선에 매규기 시대는 약부직당 아니 대바디 약부지 마중와 있는 즉 칠민도비 대바지 수수기를 막이나 된 다낭생이 장투 말에 다낭기 시사디 되니 매바다 그바 대바 숨디 뺨메세 델라 템바지 톱송아이나 아니 정신기 고 다낭디 갈리가 저 영화시리마도 지금 홉스다 즉 다낭시 인도도 알아보시지 아니 쇼골라 고양지 도용도 갑라요 독자스 통인데 갑 다낭 장미도 베기 강아지 두고도 와라 다디디 검심하데 비견에 견무시기 짤장고를 송송하다 대인들전에 다 라메 군대는 왕슈 아니 가주 주용도 갑라 수수기지 아니 니더낭 위치 탐제 가시고 다지 수수기 자윌레메기다 구성도 여러바스나 민도 아니 가 사당 함유랑신 다바람점기랑신 세상도 라베 여러바 hopes chik mixer kon yona sin leves di homare nganzo tanda movie ta ga drawing di kabla 3D gi tanda mixes doala di kon di dimension chin shadow ba dende yonga yomares dende chane nyamlen cheng di kabla ken bi chi kon du sheba nan sin re doluk ne she so na kalba changme sung do chosa dana singi milare be gi nam gur la she shane ani sangai thone ne ka wa ke du se ngawa tang du la ne sejik luijik la den sobe sang ge ko to bi lo gi sung sung la dende sin chen di kabla ngang tanda lamsang lama jewa ta chirtang thongdol ragdol nyongdol sinemo drowa shiden da drowa dukden ke je sia yore imba yena yang chik lamsang khorang chik karshu gure coincident hoji chan che yo mares tendi chane to sesenche ani sosogi gyula kha nangdu khor kha nangdu khor yung di kabla sosogi rangi lodi rangla kod manjura yung di kabla sosogi debegi nese sosogi mebegi nese 가서 이 메디 땡차리 소소하고 땡스디 소소 연구 그러 봐. 때문에 송아이나 당이 딱이 근인데 송인데 잡라 상기 좀 내기 된디 소소기 공근디 소소기 제고 그래. 대 제발 되니 매바 나 대바 약부지 규례 개발 제발라 촉 쓰는 건도 그러 봐. 촉사고 그래. 되니 촉사인데 갑라 촉사도 다 사당다리 무식이 망다시 송송하다. 조디 되니 상아이 갑라 신내디 되니 잠바디라 툭대기스 잠바디 되니 잠바 세메들 규창 투송아이나 대바랑 신기강음 슈슈기그레 이치랑 신기강음 슈슈기그레 송도알라 언데데 시송하는 페이지 되니 공도 공기송바디양 락다르제알라양 아니 기벤지 톰노스 두스레와이 땡갈도 인예슈나 공다 투데
And also Ara Kempo is saying Ken Rinpoche's instructions were really excellent, and I really have not much else to say, but there's just one thing I wanted to mention, and that is now in the Western countries, the practitioners of Western countries, they often focus on this term when they practice Vajrayana, the quick path, which to them is like a shortcut. So then they have an expectation that everything will be accomplished very quickly. So they encounter a really great Lama, they receive empowerment, instructions, and then they practice, and then they expect that everything happens instantly, almost like an accident. Devotion just arises, and the pure perception just arises. And so now in the Vajrayana, there are many high-level practices, the development stage and completion stage and so on. But actually, for us Vajrayana practitioners in the beginning, it's really important that we have a solid foundation of faith, of devotion, of samaya. And that's really very important. Because if that's not really firm, it will be difficult to really develop a pure perception. So it is really that through devotion, respect, and faith, and so on, that slowly a pure perception will arise. But in the beginning, it's more like a pretense, and we pretend that things are pure. We speak about it, everything's pure, and so on. But so quickly it won't happen. And then again, something happens, and we see it in a negative way. So it's because we have not habituated to it. We do have to habituate to it. So we receive empowerments, we receive instructions and so on. And then we say fancy things like everything that appears is pure and all appearances are the display of the root guru, everything is deity, and so on. But actually, we don't really see it that way. It doesn't happen quickly like that. For example, when you go to, there's these 3D movie theaters where you put on 3D glasses and then you see everything three-dimensional. So it won't happen like that, where you just put on some glasses and everything changes, your whole perception changes. It won't happen like that. We actually need to practice. For example, in the Sutra path, it is said the Buddha accumulated merit for 3 endless aeons. Or also, as Ken Rinpoche had said, Milarepa, for example, he really dedicated his entire life and took on all sorts of hardships to attain enlightenment in this lifetime. And so, of course, we speak about like liberation by seeing and touching and tasting and so on, the 6 kinds of liberation. But then still we cannot expect that things just happen by an accident. So we need to be patient and look inward and find certainty within ourselves based on faith and based on devotion. The Buddha also said it is something that you yourself have to practice and I cannot do it for you. So,
당나인 거네가 냠용스미세게 매 이나에 대박이 거네가랑 중중감에 냠용지 쉬는 페이지 캐나바 가실 핑계를 있으면 남도 어딘데 계속 나 중중갑라 네 자위라마 당봇 갑지 되고 현재는 무시래 콩 토만 제용도 갑라 즉 내기 즉나 중중으로 되갑라 시라 남도 가리명에 하고 그 말이 이나에 샘기 즉 남도 유화지어로 뱃코랑 가니 지양 즉 메시에 되긴 지양 랍 메시에 되긴지 단이 다 되어버려 영 단인 되고지 경전지향 메시는 지금 해대 와라 사되는 데서 종송스 데네송데 지금 코로나라는 지금 믹스기다 랑신기 대박게 영화지 용도 한번 미카실지 가시고를 류기 바부당야 당 미네 치말래라서 용거로 발라 뒤주 뒤치수 되니 갑자기 두방 변으로 무시 재송해 콩제용도 가라 밭코랑 승승도지 샤제 타나 콩 만제서 만제의 쇼라 아니 콩기 집주대 회송하는 집주 통화당 지금 수부 다시 개발로 되는 쇼도 then 디젤라 되는 자위라마 숙시셔도 어디 갑자기 추시는 무시 땜버려 디테용 디갑라 추시는 무시 군두는 제왕 마보시 같은 제네 니가 서로와디 갑자기 디오 현재는 무시 좋아하는 무시 레벨 서로 짠 레벨입니다 짠을 레벨입니다 다디 가르치고는 깔래 갑 룸라서 로 렙제 솔데비 지금 시우지 콩 검가라 잖아요 펜토입니다 짠의 펜토마서 아니 데니 참참 소설 칸나운도 코리온데 갑라 휴 탑차고 된데 탑 껴와라 삼삼기 서로 시우지 렙제 소설 갑균 땅나양 펜토에스 케민도 된 이마지 타블렛 대왕이 아니 콩군들은 네팔리미 뭐 부자교에서래 아니 무실에 깨줄기 샵지 쇼도스 교육선 갑자람 좀 정강아서 내가 체도가 안에 된 딱버시 무시 심중을 판더니 된 무시 샵지 쇼래 샵지 쇼용데 갈인 잠라 대용데 갑라 쇼게야 생네 손데 공다 마심기 바기 무시기 차례 직낭당 쳐봐 다 디직 제용데 갑라 되네 직 가린 나마이나 신변기 자와 샤다시마도 지기 소소기 랑든 세긴 직 sikkambuchiga leagi sashmindu te di jingwansumdu jeyu kala rangshin gi sorba di pemese injikeni na build up lagirwa build up charge teni jela teni ji ani konamba sumgala tai tatang shyoruba ote tatang di pheji chanyambu do shaso an shogola ta lama mongbush ten sar ta tanang garchen bushi lama tembar ji ta chuluk thone na bushi kungdugung ga gyuri nga nyime khondo jirba ta tanang chaume du jang lai jirba 디디 가르스는 라마 찍라 라마 차상기 ngol 따투겐 중소는 페지 다난기 직 섭다도시 디 멘도스 좀 바디레 당고스 단다 갑제 디우 현지미 싱샤서레 투심지 싱샤서레 중앙은 무시 싱샤서 슈게 말데 아니 코란족이 가슈그레 투기 뭐 돈은 삼당에서는 열매 차대요 봐 즉 니나신기 서로 숙심 부시 때부터 다른 데를 무시 군인의 조가 즉 제용도 즉 소속이 수용도 갑라요 서로 있는 메인바는 만나와 쉬우지도 Then dortu bena ngaranzo shuk magyap cherwa chik yanima got gifted lad of the chick lock by chance ngi yongai phese kale hago insare ina ya ta serab lendel gi mannam gi dewar yana ke ja khagar wala odine insa ten shuk gyap go gores expectation di chungsane chesane gyap lega di chungsane ya chego gores
So anyways, we need to accumulate merit, just as Rinpoche had mentioned before. And also he mentioned before that the practice of meditation in Vajrayana really, or shamatha, comes down to love, or immeasurable love. And when that arises, then faith actually and pure perception will also naturally arise. And so then there was one other personal experience I wanted to share. Not that I have great experiences, but when I was young, there was one thing that happened, a few things that happened that I thought would be beneficial for you to hear. So when I was very young, I first met my root guru, Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. And so first when I met him, of course I was very young and I didn't really have a lot of thoughts and didn't really understand so much to begin with. But when I met him, instantly everything in my mind stopped and there was nothing there. I couldn't even say anything. I was just in this state of awe, this blank state of awe in an instant. And just naturally, faith and devotion arose. Now, for example, there are some people who say that sometimes when they see a guru, then they get goosebumps and they start crying naturally. So that was my first experience. And my second experience then was when I met with Beno Rinpoche. And also here I had some special feeling and my hairs were standing on end and so on. And that's the second time. And then the third time I met with Tulsi Rinpoche. And at that time I felt like nothing at all. I had no feeling whatsoever. And I felt that was really very strange. I asked myself, why are you not feeling anything? So I prayed and I tried to bring it up. I tried to force myself. I tried to meditate. Nothing happened. I had no special feeling about him at all. So I really started to even scold myself and what kind of a terrible practitioner I am and so on. But that also actually didn't really help much too. And so one time this Rinpoche, Tulsi Rinpoche, then asked me to serve as his translator and attendant in Nepal. And so at that time, because I was really serving him all the time, I really saw what he was doing from the moment he woke up in the morning until the evening he went to sleep. And at that time, I really saw that whatever he does, every little thing he did the whole day, every day, was only for others. He never did anything for himself. He didn't even say one single word that was just for himself. And so in this way, naturally, this feeling of devotion and pure perception started to build up gradually until it became great. For example, also later I met other lamas like Garchen Rinpoche, for example, who is actually a Drikung Kagyu Lama, and I'm a Nyingma practitioner. But still, when I met him, then really also this feeling of like a pure perception and devotion arose in me. And so this is really how I then learned to see all gurus within one guru. And so now Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche and Beno Rinpoche had already passed into nirvana, but I really feel that all of those gurus, their mind really is the same, is indivisible in essence. And also when I meet Garchen Rinpoche now, for example, I feel just the same way. A very special feeling arises. And so this feeling that arises is not something that is kind of like a gift of God given to me and I'm special, but it's something actually that came also from hard work and practice. And of course there are some individuals.
Mangbo stu go wandas yorwa tenge chun du sheg mis nga polia lab de jore twa kapto hugus this nordel dan gong tasrwa.
Ja, wir sind ja am Ende.
And so anyways, what I'm trying to say is that we have to make an effort. And even though some have a special karmic connection to someone, we do have to make an effort. And so anyways, now the other Khenpo said that we are coming to an end now. Thank you for your questions. We continue the questions tomorrow. And so I just want to say about myself, no, I don't know much. I'm from Tibet, and I don't know much about like customs and cultures and views in the world and so on. So I don't really maybe know how to behave myself properly. And when somebody asks me a question, then I usually just give them a very direct answer without really thinking much about was that appropriate now or not. So that's because I'm from Tibet. So I ask you to bear with me.